Welcome back, Defenders. Jake here. This month, objectively, was the worst month for the Russian military. Let's do some numbers. Here are the reported losses of the Russians as of October 31st, the end of last month. 300,810 eliminated personnel. Let's now fast forward to November 30th, the end of this month. 328,760 eliminated personnel. Let's do some quick math, and that comes out to 27,950 Russian soldiers lost in the month of November, averaging out to about 6,900 a week. How does this compare to the rest of the war? And here's an infographic from when Russia hit 300,000 dead. And the assault on Avdiivka had been going on for about 2.5 weeks. So you could see the casualty rates spiking, but in November, it's going to be worse. Once the infographics are updated, these bar charts will be up here closer to 7,000. And this is astonishing. This war is a war of attrition that could go on for a very long time. So whether or not Ukraine is on the offensive, eliminating 7,000 Russian soldiers a week, or on the defensive, eliminating 7,000 Russian soldiers a week, either way, this was the worst month of the war for the Russian military. And they're not even in the city of Avdiivka. Yes, if they took horrendous casualties and secured the town, you could make some justification. But all they've done is expand through a couple empty fields. They're not even in the city. The city of Avdiivka continues to hold. What's the true number of Russian losses trying to take this town? And it's got to be over 30,000 over the last 2 months. How can you justify, as a Russian military commander, losing more soldiers than the pre-war population of that city? The pre-war population of Avdiivka was about 32,000. So how can Russia ever win this war when they need to get to the territorial boundary of Donetsk? The cities of Sloviansk and Kramatorsk are close to 100,000 people each. The city of Zaporizhia, according to Russia's constitution, this is a Russian city. They annexed a city of 700,000 Ukrainian citizens without ever controlling the city. Is Russia just going to lose over 700,000 soldiers trying to take Zaporizhia eventually? Like, this is insane. Russia ramping up attacks in eastern Ukraine. The meat wave attacks have not stopped. Here is a Ukrainian defender. He's a drone operator. Giving a report to Radio Free Europe. Let me read for you what he has to say. Their losses here are just enormous, but they're still crawling and crawling. They go on the offensive every day, no matter what the weather, no matter what the casualties. They literally walk over their dead bodies, just over their wounded. Over their dead bodies, they don't care. One brigade was intercepted. The second brigade was intercepted. The third was just launched. They've got a lot of stock. They've got a lot of resources. Fresh strength every day. The red tie. Yeah, there's a red tie on the leg, and then there's a red tie on their helmets. All that and more. We find targets. It could be the opponent's life force. It could be technology. It could be some kind of appeal. Anything that might interfere with our infantry. We find, and then we use drones to destroy them. So why? Why is Russia putting so much pressure on Avdiivka, willing to sustain and tolerate horrendous losses? One, it's to demoralize the West so that Western governments stop supporting Ukraine. Kremlin propagandists are pushing this narrative that the war is already over. Russia has already won. So stop talking about Ukraine. I don't know how they can declare they've already won when they can't even capture the city of Avdiivka. The other one is that Putin has to announce his re-election soon. Russia's parliament to announce presidential race on December 13th, according to Russia's Communist Party leader. So that's in 2 weeks. Putin's got to get on national television and tell the Russian people something as he announces his re-election for next March. He wants to secure Avdiivka, to claim progress is being made. But given this map, and they're not even in the city, they're not even fighting in the streets yet, no, I don't think by December 13th, Putin is going to get the victory that he's looking for. And in the meantime, tremendous setbacks. This story is insane. Russia's main link to China, paralyzed after tunnel sabotage. The explosions in the Severodvinsk tunnel were masterminded by Ukraine's intelligence services, paralyzing the only serious route of railway communication between Russia and China. The Soviet-built BAM is a crucial transit railway that cuts through Siberia and is used to deliver cargo shipments to Asia. It is one of the world's longest railway networks, stretching about 4,300 kilometers or about 2,700 miles. So this is what the tunnel looks like. Here's the inside of the tunnel. And Ukraine successfully blew up a freight train as it was going through this tunnel. There is a video online. The train was going to China, hauling 41 fuel tanks, 3 jet fuel tanks, and 6 cars full of raw materials. This is bad. Logistics wins wars, and Russia needs to sell their raw commodity and energy exports to China and import goods and services, components for their airplanes and cars and all of their military equipment. And there's not a lot of routes where you can go through Siberia. So here is where the tunnel is located. This is very remote Siberia. And we don't know exactly how bad the damage is. There is a video showing a giant fireball. Was there a complete collapse somewhere in the tunnel? I don't know, but if there's debris of train cars everywhere, how are they going to clean up this tunnel, repair this tunnel in Siberia in December? This is going to be miserable. My personal opinion is they're not fixing this tunnel for months. Months at least. So that is months that the Chinese and the Russians cannot trade with each other through rail lines. Very bad news for Russia. I imagine China is going to be annoyed, but this is a huge victory for Ukraine. We're preparing serious stuff to make sure the occupiers feel the might of Ukraine. This is a statement put out by President Zelensky yesterday. Let me read for you the quote. Today I held a separate meeting with the Minister of Strategic Industries of Ukraine, and I can say it was optimistic. We're preparing, among other things, some serious long-range stuff to make sure the occupiers feel the might of Ukraine. So let's address the elephant in the room. Here on this channel, I've mentioned GLSDB numerous times. This was announced in February. Contracts were signed. Boeing and Saab estimated delivery over the summertime. In June, they revised that and said, for sure in the fall. It's now November 30th. Where the heck is GLSDB? And the suspicion is there was this bizarre aid package 10 days ago from the United States, including one HIMARS launcher. Ukraine already has plenty of HIMARS and M270 launchers. They need stuff to launch. So the speculation is this one launcher that was sent is modified to handle GLSDB, and perhaps the training is occurring now, with additional launchers needed to be modified, because normally they're firing Gimlers. This is a possible explanation. I'm speculating here, but if GLSDB is real, and Boeing and Saab are legit companies that do real business, then yes, these rockets need to show up pretty damn soon. Let's check in on the Kherson front, and the gray zone continues to expand. Ukrainians are crossing the river at will at numerous locations, applying pressure to the meager Russian forces in this area. And here's what the village of Krinky looked like before the war. This is the riverfront. I'm sure this was a very pleasant place to raise a family or enjoy your holiday. And this is what the village of Krinky currently looks like. This is all the Russians can offer the world. Death and destruction. Anywhere the Russian military goes, everyone dies and everything's destroyed. This, in a nutshell, is Ruski Mir. This is what Ukraine is fighting to stop from happening in other European and Asian countries. So let's get an update from one of the occupiers. We've got a fresh video from Dmitry at War Translated. This is a Russian soldier in the Kherson region, just sharing his current working conditions. This is our hut, or rather what's left of it. We got effing flooded. He's talking about the big storm that hit the region a couple days ago. All sleeping spaces are currently underwater. Somehow guys managed to lay there. I don't give a sh about drones because I don't. Yesterday it was snowing. This is all we managed to save. He's showing their remaining equipment at this outpost. There it is, the shore. Effing awesome. Oh, F, where are you sending the guys for real? To assured death. This Russian man filming this video probably knows he's not going to survive the next couple months. He's getting pretty nihilistic about it. Why doesn't he just surrender to Ukraine and choose to live? And that's the great mystery of this war. I don't really understand why these Russian soldiers continue to put up with these kinds of conditions and this kind of treatment when all they got to do is raise their hands and get to the other side of the river. Ukraine war latest, another Russian general has been killed or died. 5 high-ranking Russian officials reportedly killed in Ukraine. The general's name was Zavodinsky, and he was the deputy commander of the 14th Army Corps of the Russian Armed Forces, killed by a landmine. Not a Ukrainian landmine. This was a landmine laid by the Russians, and yeah, he accidentally stepped on it or drove over it, and Russia has confirmed his death. When we go to the Wikipedia page, list of Russian generals killed during the invasion of Ukraine, Ukraine puts the number at 16 generals and 1 admiral, while Russia has only confirmed with public announcements about 7 of these deaths. Reminder, the commander of the Black Sea Fleet is currently dead. He's not been seen in 2 months, but Russia is pretending like he's not dead. Eventually, they'll announce his replacement, but this is just how the Russians think and operate. It's pretty weird. Finland to close last border crossing with Russia. This is going to be a temporary closure. They announced it'll be closed for 2 weeks. But because of this influx of asylum seekers being dropped off at the border by Russia, Finland is closing their borders until they can better assess what exactly is going on. So for a short period of time, the only open crossing was up here in Murmansk, and the Russians were still trying to drop off asylum seekers up there. So what they do is they bus them almost the entire way, and then they give them bicycles. The asylum seekers, these are mostly Muslims from the Middle East and Central Asia. They then ride their bike to the checkpoint and ask for asylum in the EU. So Russia's not happy about the border being officially closed, and here is Solovyov's guest promoting his theory why Finland closed their border. Of course, there's no sense to this at all, but what's actually happening? I think Finland is, of course, preparing for American bases on its territory, because the press is already saying that a draft agreement with the US military is ready. That's to say, Finland and the US military intend to sign a new agreement called the DCA, Defense Cooperation Agreement. They're meant to sign it soon. What does it signify? It signifies the concrete creation of new US military bases on Finnish territory, and virtually the handover of Finnish territory to the US military. As an American, I'm entirely flattered that people would actually think this, that the United States government now controls Finland. If there are the construction of new military bases, these are NATO military bases, because Finland wanted to join NATO. Is there any admission in this conversation about Finland joining NATO because Russia is now invading their neighbors? But this deep state conspiracy, I think we need to have this conversation. The United States today, of 2023, is not the old CIA US states of Nixon in 73 or Ronald Reagan in 85. The US doesn't really have its shit together, guys, if I'm just being honest with you. Here's an article: Marjorie Taylor Greene blasts Speaker Johnson's plan to tie Ukraine aid to border funding. A bad strategy. Marjorie Taylor Greene openly posts Russian propaganda on Twitter. She just posted a Russian news organization sanctioned by the US government as evidence that Ukraine is corrupt and the United States shouldn't be supporting it. So it's insane that we have so many members in our government fighting for Russia, fighting against democracy around the world. This can only be solved at the ballot box. These people have to be voted out, but Russian and Chinese propaganda is so effective on social media that insane people, if Marjorie actually believes what she says, insane people keep voting for these members of Congress. Members of Congress who vote against the best interest of their own constituents. U.S.-Ukraine aid brought major investments to Texas, Arizona, Pennsylvania. U.S. states producing weapons that go to Ukraine, 31 states. So when the U.S. allocates military aid, we send old stuff and then make better new stuff for ourselves here in the United States. These are high-paying jobs, creating tax revenue and economic growth in 31 states around the country. So President Biden and the Department of Defense is on a media blitz campaign to put pressure on these House Republicans who hate Ukraine, because they're the ones mostly in solid red districts that have these jobs and plants producing these weapons. Companies like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman. Their congresspeople are the ones opposing additional aid to Ukraine. Here's the map breaking down where all this aid to Ukraine is going in direct investments, creating good jobs here in America. This is personally demoralizing for me, seeing House Republicans fighting so hard for Russia. I know it's a minority. I know, if there was a vote, probably 120, 130 House Republicans would do the right thing. But there's this insane coalition of about 50 that are not living in reality. I'm just being honest with you guys. This can only be settled next November. People have to not vote for anyone who opposes supporting Ukraine and democracy around the world. Here's the good news. I just want to share this. Microsoft to provide free cloud services to the Ukrainian government for another year. The free storage will extend to all Ukrainian government entities, including the military, schools, universities, and hospitals. So far, Microsoft has provided Ukraine with $540 million in free services, technical support, equipment, and grants. It's important to highlight these corporations doing the right thing, supporting Ukraine. Microsoft has already provided $540 million in free services, and they're probably going to double that over the next year. This is a huge benefit for the Ukrainian government, for schools and hospitals, so thank you so much, Microsoft. Final clip I have for you guys is from a British volunteer, Richard Woodruff, and I just want to share a moment they had at a dinner together.
What do we have in here? It's Sophia! Hello! Do побачення! Mama, I am my cardboard box.
The simple joy of hearing a child laugh, the pleasure a child can get from just playing with a cardboard box. Just trying to remember what everyone is fighting for. That's all for this update video. Glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. Best way to support the channel. Comments and questions, let me know down below. I love hearing from you guys. Till the next video, keep defending the truth, keep defending democracy.